Hello everybody and welcome to the last quality review by WA1. We'll get to that part later. Today I'll be reviewing the recently released Overhaul Flight Simulator version 1.31.1. In addition, I'll discuss the upcoming TFS version and the features coming with it. With that being said, let's get started. Version 1.31.1 brought some long-awaited changes to the classic TurboProp planes, those being the PV40 and older. The changes in question are improved crash models and more realistic textures and models to better align with the newer planes. Let's take a look at the changes in the game itself, starting with the C400. Out of all the other planes, the C400 received the most changes when it comes to both the interior and the exterior. Starting with the interior, the cargo bay received a noticeable texture update with these window things. Not sure what they are, even after looking them up. Anyway, we also have brand new hydraulics on the cargo door, and 2 escape hatches on the roof, one in the cockpit and one in the rear. The one in the cockpit is the most interesting, since it has a ladder leading up to it, making this the first time ladder physics are used in TFS. Moving on to the exterior, we'll see that the AC intakes are actually 3D now. They used to be 2-dimensional textures in previous versions. Another big change is the transparent windows, which look so real after years of being opaque. Plus, the nose cone now breaks off. Turning our attention to the textures, we'll find that Alex added a few changes here and there to make the planes look more realistic. Finally, the main lights were moved back to the center of the fuselage, just like the real thing. The rest of the C400s received the same treatment, so let's move on to the airliners. The RL-42, 72 and E-42 also received some major updates, especially when it comes to crash models. Looking at the interior, you'll see that the cockpit door has been completely overhauled, now being split into 2 doors. Right in front of it, you'll see a narrow ladder leading up to the cockpit hatch, the only hatch on these planes. In the case of the E-42, you'll see that it now has new cockpit seats, whereas in previous versions, it used to share its seat design with the airliners. That's about it for the interior, for now. Let's move on to the exterior. All 3 planes received the same exterior texture details, in addition to the moved main lights. Now, the biggest change, in my opinion, is only visible when you break the plane's tail off. After doing that, you'll see that the seats don't disappear. However, you'll notice that these are actually lower resolution versions of the seats, which I assume is for better optimization. And yes, you can sit on them. The same applies to the E-42. Destroying the nose cone will reveal the bulkhead, which is the same on all ATR-based planes. The VTOLs received the fewest updates out of all planes, with a slight texture change, repositioned main lights, and indestructible nose cone. There are no visible changes to the interior, not even hydraulics on the cargo door. However, the planes now have better destruction physics, as you can navigate around the plane when the tail section is broken, as well as sit on the seats in the PV40. There are other small additions, such as these little hinges on the C400's main door, and a fix to the throttle physics, where the engines used to spin very slowly when the throttle is below 70%. I'm glad Alex has finally fixed this after like 7 years. Also, in case you haven't noticed already, the doors of the updated planes now break off when they crash, just like the PS26 and the C130s. Finally, there are multiple other changes to the C400s, especially to the doors, but they were so minor that I didn't even notice them. If you thought these changes weren't enough to count as improved visual details, don't worry, there's a remaining 10% left to be finished, which should hopefully include additional updates to the VTOLs. The next version of Turboprop Flight Simulator, the version number of which has not been detailed, is planned to be released before March 2025, which likely means that it's going to be released around May or June. The unnamed version is going to feature the MV40 Special Operations VTOL, which is going to be based on the XV40. Just like the MC400 and the MC130, the MV40 is likely going to have a darker livery, missile detectors and countermeasures, a search camera, and may or may not feature JATO. After all, the XV40 is already way too fast on its own, and it can take off faster than any other plane without JATO, since it's a VTOL, so I don't imagine it will be realistic for it to have JATO. Additionally, the next version of TFS is going to add transparent windows to all ground vehicles introduced before the matching vehicle. Finally, Alex mentioned that there will be a new gunship-related secret and a few more improvements. Now when it comes to the ground vehicles, it is possible that Alex might also improve their textures, as the current ones look very unrealistic. But since it's not mentioned in the topic, I'm not sure if that'll ever happen. As for the secret, it can be one of 3 things. One of the remaining gunship aircraft that haven't yet received the secret, the AC-400 and the AV-40, a new upcoming weapon, or a weaponized ground vehicle, since there is progress in making them, but we are yet to hear anything about them. Going into the near-term plans, we'll find that 50% of the planned gunship-related secrets have been added. And since there are 4 gunship secrets as of right now, that means there are 4 secrets yet to be added. So, 2 of these must be the remaining gunship aircraft, and the other 2 can either be a weapon or a weaponized ground vehicle. Or both. And finally, I hope those few more improvements will include additional improvements to the VTOL's textures and models, because they certainly aren't complete in their current state. Additionally, I noticed earlier today that the Play This Secret was silently updated by Alex, and on the button now it says version 2, and when you play it, you won't notice any changes other than the fact that the C-130, which is supposed to be the main secret that this level is teasing, has been replaced with the MC-130. And this is not a special MC-130 either, it's just the normal MC-130, with the exception that you can pilot it, because in previous versions you couldn't pilot the C-130 in the Play This level. Now I'm not sure why Alex did this. My main theory was that he's preparing for an upcoming secret that he's gonna put in the Play This level. And no, there were no changes to the warship. So I emailed him, and he hasn't replied. So if he does reply, I will comment the reply. And yes, pretty odd. As for this being the last quality review by WA1, I'll be moving all typical TFS content to my second channel, Waveair2, making it quality reviews by WA2 from now on. This is because I'll be focusing on making educational and tech content on this channel. So even when I do upload TFS videos to my second channel, keep in mind that they'll be infrequent, and sometimes I'll only upload update videos. I still have a few ideas for TFS video essays and other big TFS videos, which I'll be uploading on this channel. Once I upload the aforementioned videos, I won't upload any TFS content on this channel anymore, and move it entirely to Waveair2. So expect this to be the last typical TFS video on this channel. And that is the end of today's video. Thank you so much for your engagement and support over the years. I truly couldn't have made it without you. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you on the second channel.
I was staring straight down at the runway, and all I could think of was I was setting myself up to ungraciously dismantle this perfectly good little airplane, and then off in the distance I heard a voice, and I think it was that of my flight instructor saying, "You can always go around. You can always go around if it don't look right coming down."
Over the years, I truly couldn't have made it without you. I truly couldn't have made it without you. I truly couldn't have made it without you. Corny.